We're going to have some good wrestling. We're going to get a new #1 contender, and it's all right here on NXT.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AFTERBUZZ TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Just going to warm up these bagpipes real quick.
Yeah. Gotta have some serious lung capacity to blow that hard.
Yep, I'm a big blowhard. Well, thanks for joining us, everybody. At any moment, Drew McIntyre's theme will kick in. There it is.
This is the theme.
Yeah.
It begins with the signature, and then it goes slowly into it. It's like an air raid siren.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's like how the opening lyrics to Dean Ambrose's theme is. Yeah.
And Seth Rollins.
But thanks for joining us, everybody. Welcome to the NXT After Show right here on AfterBuzz TV. I am not Mark Budonica.
No.
Unfortunately, he is in San Diego.
Yes.
Which means Comic-Con. And I'm Bill Hanstock. You can find me on Twitter at Sundown Motel. And we're joined here by the NXT and the honorary NXT team.
She's a rookie. Low on the totem pole.
We'll start with the one and only True Hobo.
Yes, the one and only True Hobo. It was just announced that this Friday I'll be wrestling Tristan Archer, also known as Clement Pitot, from the Cruiserweight Classic at Ryan Kendrick's Wrestling Pro Wrestling.
His last name has always messed me up.
Yeah.
Pitot.
Petrol.
And the one and only Anissa Barr.
Hi guys, you can follow me at Anissa Barr with 3 R's at the end. I'm very excited. I finally get to talk about wrestling with you guys. It's been a long time.
It's been a while.
It's been a while.
Hobo's excited too.
Genuinely excited.
I am excited.
It's throwing me off. Not used to having that much energy on this side because it's Bill's seat, so I'm not used to that at all. You're gonna have to tone it down a couple of notches.
I can't hype you up like.
No, please don't. The last thing I need is any more hype.
All right.
I'm already too loud on the microphone.
He stays high.
Well, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think that everyone in chat that's not listening to this after the fact, but in fact watching live, should congratulate Hobo on his lovely braids.
Thank you. Yes.
So
I had them on Monday. I continued them over to today. And thank you. Yeah, it's a fashion choice that I expect Elias Sampson will pick up on any day now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys should know the score when Mark Budonica is not here. We don't necessarily go blow by blow with the episode, but after the normal pyro and ballyhoo, without pyro though, just ballyhoo.
Well, a lot of ballyhoo. I think the pyro's gone totally from WWE now, from what I understand. They dropped it completely.
I mean, I'm sure they're going to use it for big stuff.
Right, but that'll be stadium-wide kind of pyro. I don't think it'll be, individual specific pyro. And
but
I'm not gonna miss it.
Yeah, it's kind of cool because like all it does when you're live is scares you, and you don't even notice it when it's on TV, really.
Right.
And it's gonna make it it's just gonna make it that much more special at WrestleMania or Royal Rumble.
I hate to pull back the curtain on it, but the pyro itself does not make that noise. There is something called a crash box that makes all of the noise that you actually hear.
Yeah.
And it's huge, and it's loud, and fairly pointless from my perspective.
And it's in the backstage area as well.
I thought it was just Michael Winslow making the.
Yes, it's a full-time Michael Winslow position.
Well, that's why you haven't seen him since Police Academy 6. Is he's been working for WWE.
Backstage to WWF, now WWE. He's been a model employee for almost 30-odd years now.
Well, one, Vince has seen all 6 Police Academy movies. And 2, he was like, we gotta get the guy who makes the sounds.
Yep, I can totally buy that for $1.
Oh, man.
So the first match that we got was sort of a little bit of a surprise, like, dream match, kind of. It was just a singles match between Ember Moon and Ruby Riott, and it ruled. It's good.
Didn't know what to expect.
Really?
Truly. I mean, obviously, both of them very gifted, athletically, professionally, but coming into this, really didn't know what to expect. I myself was pleased. I imagine you were.
I was. I liked that they have this connection with each other in the ring. They were just going back and forth, and just the way that we appreciate more of women wrestling, and just the connection that these two women have. I really enjoyed the back and forth and the different techniques that they have. I feel like they did a lot of homework on each other.
They were almost dead even during the course of this match. Neither one of them really gaining a particular lead on the other. But it did feel to me that Ruby Riott was giving her all.
Right.
And Ember Moon was just a little bit ahead. She was just able to survive the onslaught that Ruby Riott was able to present and then sort of bide her time to find that room for that full eclipse.
Yeah, you brought it up when we were watching the match. These two women clearly know one another's timing. They know one another's strengths and weaknesses, and so you put it as though they've been scouting each other.
Yeah, pretty much. And like you said, how Ruby Riott was giving it her all, and you could tell that she was, because she was giving up a good sweat in this match.
Yeah, the emotion showed through,
Yes.
especially one large fall after a high impact senton. And it was a close 2 count, but it was not the 3, and Ruby Riott was pretty devastated after that. I think that was hearkening the beginning of the end for her, because if you're going to give all you've got in that particular moment and it be that, absolutely shattering for you, maybe you're not up to snuff for the individual that you're fighting against. And Ember Moon was the better of this match, maybe the better overall. I don't know. I think Ruby Riott's definitely got some work to do, but that does not mean that she was not fantastic tonight.
Right.
There was the stretch end of the match was just a real sprint, super hard hitting, like any good indie match, really, where it's like, especially like the ROH style match where it's like sort of technical and chain wrestling for like 8 to 22 minutes, and then like 5 to 10 minutes of just absolutely just throwing bombs. And that style, like that specific like ROH style of match always makes me like, most of the time it makes me be like, why did I watch the first 20 minutes?
Yeah.
Like I was like, I just need the end.
Right.
That's when all the
so-
stuff happened.
And so I feel that it wasn't that.
Right.
It didn't feel
That's what I'm
as
saying. Like
so
this one, it felt like the beginning flowed into the end because
Yeah.
it wasn't methodical, but it was, it took its time, but it was still like
I don't know if I agree with that, because right off the bat it was tit for tat. It was
Right,
It was pin for pin.
it told
quick.
it told a story where they were like both just gunning to show something. They're both out to prove like I'm the one who has a stake to beating Asuka. No, it's me. And they were, like you said, right away pinfall reversal sequences, but it told a story and it made the ending sprint that much more impactful.
I feel that the match as a whole was at an upward trajectory, and it ended at the absolute peak of where it could have been. Any longer than that, it would have fallen off a little bit. I mean, it just kept climaxing it further and further and further, and by the end of it, it was, wow, that was quite a match. That's something you can go back to and watch that a couple more times and pick up a couple of things you've missed.
Oh, definitely. And in my opinion, I really wanted Ruby Riott to win because we've already seen Ember Moon and Asuka, but I like to see Ruby Riott. But we all know one day she'll probably go for the title. So
For sure.
and Ruby
She's
Riott-
had 2
Ruby
title
Riott-
shots recently.
And you know what? Yeah, true. And the thing is, Ruby Riott is entertaining to watch as well.
And then the ending where Ember hit a front handspring forearm shiver in the corner and then just went for the eclipse, like that was nice.
Yeah.
That was different. I haven't seen that before, and that was really cool.
It's smart to double up those two moves particularly. I mean, granted, they're both signatures of hers, but together it was enough to hit Ruby and get her down far enough to when she went for the eclipse, there wasn't any way for Ruby to block it. And that's it's a move that you can block, or at least get far enough away from to have your opponent miss it. But there was just absolutely no missing it from Ember tonight. She hits the full eclipse, and it's a 3 count, and Ruby goes down. She hits that, and it's lights out.
That sell was really fantastic. That's
Yeah.
really good.
How much of a sell? You gotta
Yeah.
ask yourself. Like it's the jaw. You slap those teeth together, and all of a sudden your ears are ringing.
I'm always a sucker for any time that you string together signatures or finishers. Just doing a combo is always rad. It's always rad.
I don't
especially when
know.
it comes
I'm
to
not a particular combo guy myself
Right.
because I have enough power behind everything that I do that I don't necessarily need to hit a couple of things in a row.
Right.
If I'm able to hit a huge lariat, that might be all I need.
Well, usually when you are stringing together signatures or finishers, it's sort of a sign of like, this is like the real deal. Like this is, the chips are down and I
Right.
gotta pull out everything and
No,
make sure that it's
exactly.
going to be decisive.
If I've gotten to this point, then my opponent is clearly he's passed the test up to now, and it's time to start really bringing it down.
Since this is the women's match for the week, Simone Francois, not Petiot, asks in the chat, does anyone think Asuka is losing at TakeOver, or will they wait for the next one for her to lose?
It's so hard to tell.
Because it would be like a year.
Oh, it's been a year.
Yeah.
It's already
It's
been a year.
been-
Yeah,
she's
yeah.
already broken all,
Right, yeah,
every
she's
record.
broken the
She broke
record,
them,
yeah.
shattered them.
My guess is if she doesn't lose at this TakeOver, she's not going to be around for the next TakeOver.
Well, we
That's my
also
guess.
have to think about the women's tournament.
Yeah, because
it
the
concludes.
finals take place after TakeOver.
Exactly.
So there's a non-zero chance that Asuka could remain undefeated and just go to the main roster and be like, take this, whatever, I'm done with it. Like,
Yeah.
because there's a precedent for that. When Paige went up, they said that she
Yeah.
couldn't have
Right.
both the Divas Championship and the
I was
NXT
never a
title.
fan of that personally.
Right,
when
right.
it shut down, I was
Sure.
pretty pissed.
Sure.
Still, I am a little.
I think that she's probably going to keep it still and go on to hopefully fight it one more time, and then she loses it after that.
I mean, what exactly could happen if she gives it up? If she beats Ember Moon and then forfeits the belt, what the hell would happen then? Complete upheaval. Like it would be just a horrible mess.
Yeah,
You have a women's tournament, and then you've got the NXT women's division, and then all of them would fight over the belt.
Well, it would completely change the status quo, but at the same time, if Asuka defeats Ember Moon at NXT TakeOver Brooklyn 3, Asuka will have beaten everyone that's currently in the division. So you could make the argument that no one is more worthy of holding that title in NXT than a woman who's just won 4 or 5 matches in a row to win the whole tournament against the
Yeah.
best talent in the entire world.
Or when the Mae Young Classic is done, there's fresh competition for Asuka
Absolutely,
right then and
yeah.
there. So
Yeah,
The
it's tough.
Mae Young Classic is just going to be
who's gonna fight Asuka?
opening
Who's
the
gonna, yeah,
opening the
that's how I feel.
floodgates and hey, NXT, guess what? Here's 32 more women.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah,
I mean,
no,
it
no.
wasn't that
It's
way
probably
for
going to
the
be more like
cruiserweights.
10
Yeah.
more women.
Right, right. It's who they want to keep. That's always. We saw it shake down with the cruiserweights. I'm sure it's going to be the same for the women. They've got their pick of who they'd like to keep, and then depending upon how things shake out, they didn't get to keep everybody they wanted from the cruiserweights, and that could also be true for the women. But it's just a matter of right place, right time, right opportunity.
The next thing up we had was Cassius Ohno backstage sitting down, just giving a little, just talking, just shooting the breeze, really. And
Maybe they were testing the camera. Hey, talk at me. Let's see if everything's working right.
I mean, they're trying different stuff a lot in recent weeks. It's not all working, but they're trying different stuff.
Right. So it keeps it fresh, I guess. It makes
Yeah.
sure that you're paying attention. It's not all the same stuff every single time. I mean, it's not all a winner.
So he says that he asked for a match against Itami and he got it. Then Itami comes in, he's like, Luscious, what's the deal here?
Maybe he's got pet nicknames for everybody.
Yeah. Hey, Sweet Lips. Why?
Hot legs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yummy in my tummy. And then he gets angry and he kicks a garbage can.
So there's a bunch of stuff in Japanese
Yeah,
that
yeah.
we can't translate because we don't have that ability.
Tommy this whole feud has been predicated on him just throwing, having no regard for NXT backstage property, really. Like, he threw a table and Cash just got all bent out of shape about it. Now he's kicking a garbage can. He's just, I want the next vignette to be, just him in the parking lot, keying Cassius Ohno's car really slowly.
It almost makes me want to see him take on the custodian for the facility. Like, quit messing with everything backstage. I'll take you on in the ring. And he just beats a janitor.
Next thing you know, he's gonna come out with the mop.
Moppy.
We got a Street Profits vignette. And
Strong as last week.
I'm so excited that after a year of seeing like just these guys in like house show results, because they've been like ever since we've stopped seeing Angelo Dawkins on NXT television, which has been a while.
Yeah.
He's been in this tag team with Montez Ford on the house shows, and I've been really looking forward to it. The only time that they've been in canon on NXT anything is during the Mannequin Challenge that the
That's
NXT
true.
Full Sail
Yeah,
did.
you're right.
And it was sort of a like, when that happened, it was sort of like, oh, who are these two guys? That's interesting. And now we've had to wait like months since then to see anything about them. But hopefully they'll be here soon. I think they will be here soon.
They look fun.
Yeah.
Like, this looks like a good time waiting to happen. They look like guys that can perpetuate sort of a larger than life persona, both in the ring and out of the ring, and I think that's really what makes for interesting television.
Right.
Like, if you're able to wrestle as good as you are backstage, that's great. But if you're more entertaining backstage than you are in the ring, that's not necessarily a terrible thing either. You can get away with that. There's a lot of tag teams that you'd rather see them backstage than in the ring, but because you like to see them backstage, that's enough reason for them to stick around.
Right.
And if there's one thing that we like here in terms of NXT stuff, it's people who are fun.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
definitely fun.
No Way Jose.
Because it's so different than the indie guys who come in, who are, Mr. Wrestling number 53.
That's a really good point. Like I haven't even considered that people in the indies, for the most part, aren't fun. Like Dalton Castle's fun.
Yeah.
Right.
Colt
Cabana's
Cabana
fun.
could be fun, depending on what he's doing and where he's wrestling.
Right.
Joey Ryan's fun.
Pretty Peter Avalon, Hobo,
Rich Swan.
Rich Swan.
Rich.
Yeah.
But he's
Yeah.
not on the indies, my man. No, I'm just kidding.
But the list is short, and that's why I'm on it.
Yeah.
Like, too many people get in that ring, and they're too serious about
Yeah.
it. Right. you
Gotta
know.
do the double the crisscross face off, drop down, exchange pins, both go for a drop kick. Ha!
Right.
And I can do that with the
Sure,
best of them.
sure.
It just gets boring. Like, when does the fun start?
Exactly. And like when these indie guys, like some of them are too serious, and sometimes you just want to be at a show as a fan and want more entertainment and want one of the wrestlers entertain the crowd.
Yeah.
That's what a lot of people go for.
It
It's for
seems like
entertainment.
NXT tends to sign the serious guys, and all the goofy personality fun people who are established indie people tend to go to Lucha Underground.
Well,
Because you got like Jack Evans and Paul London and people like that who are like, I mean, even Sami Callihan is like
Yeah.
fun. He can be the serious guy, but
most
he's
of the
also
time, his eyes alone are
Right.
so piercing, your skin begins to bubble.
but he's a guy that's so intense
Yes.
that it's comical. Like that it's not comical
no,
in a bad way, but he's so intense that he's a caricature. And so
Right.
he becomes fun in his
Yeah,
intensity.
I've always enjoyed his everything. I love training with him. Love watching him in the ring.
It's like Necro Butcher. I'm
Yeah.
not a deathmatch guy in any sense of the word, but you cannot deny that Necro Butcher was one of the most fun, most like compelling people to watch ever on the Indies.
Yeah.
Ever.
There is something really weird about him, both his mythology in the ring and out of the
Yeah.
ring. Because you'll see clips of him conducting himself backstage, and he's the most cordial, most businesslike man in professional wrestling, and yet he goes out there and he is bat-esque crazy. And it adds to it. It's Cactus Jack, It's that split of how can one man be two different people?
Yeah.
And people don't understand that. But it's the brilliance of a schism.
Yeah.
You don't know who you're gonna meet and when and in what circumstances you're gonna find how crazy these people are.
Yeah, and who knows what these people can do. And like you said before, like the WWE brings these indie guys in and they make them so seriously, but they also bring in people from that have no experience in wrestling and they make them as
And
different types of gimmicks.
That's the people that end up being fun.
Yeah.
Right. You gotta diversify.
Yeah.
You know, and a lot of these other guys that don't have a indie wrestling background haven't had their hearts torn out by wrestling.
Yeah. Good
Because it
point.
just makes you horribly bitter. But they still see the bright side. They're like, oh, I ended my professional career over here, and now I'm over here, so life's beautiful. And most of these indie guys are like, I've had to kill men!
This is way better than
Football.
this is way better than rugby.
Yeah.
I'm not intentionally bashing my head against someone else's head.
Right.
That's New Japan.
And that ended a
Too soon?
career. That's, yeah, that'll make you
Speaking of two guys who aren't necessarily fun on the surface, but this match was a ton of fun. We got Oni Lorcan versus Danny Burch, two lookalikes doing the Harpo mirror routine.
Twinsies.
It was rad. Like, now this was a match that was just a sprint, and it was fun, and it was really impactful, and it made all of us several times go like, "Oh, ooh!"
It was.
This match reminded me of like a CCW match without blood. And this was something that I enjoyed. Like I said to you guys before, that I think these guys should become a tag team. They look alike, they have similar styles, and if they become tag team, they would dominate the tag
Intensity
team.
level
Yeah.
is almost equal with each other. The only one I think's got a little bit more is Lorcan. Lorcan is. He's a more of a sprinter. He's willing to use his entire body to execute something and execute someone. You said it was a match without blood. His last match, he spread a Tommy's nose all over his face, all over the arena. The medic said it looked like somebody got murdered in the ring, and I believe him. I saw it. It was really gnarly. But that's Lorcan. You know, he fights. He fights with absolutely everything he has, no matter who he's wrestling. It is a life or death situation to him. And for Danny Burch, I've been saying this about him for a long time. He is one high-profile win away from actually being somebody in NXT instead of sort of like a perpetual tomato can. But he gets better every time you see him. He gets a little bit better. He's in fantastic shape, the shape of his life. And now he was wrestling Oni Lorcan, a guy who is really willing to throw caution to the wind and do anything. And he himself was there tit for tat trying to answer everything Lorcan threw at him. And you see Burch's right hand really coming into play. They're speaking of that boxing background. It was a straight right that put Lorcan on his butt and changed the tide a little bit. Yeah. It worked really well for him.
And luckily we get to see this match again.
They like beating each other so much they're going to do it again.
Yep.
I'm excited for the next one.
Yeah.
And that power bomb that. Oh my gosh!
There were power bombs all over this episode. And that was not
That was
fun.
nasty.
And the other power bombs are a dangerous move. Yeah. A man died from a power bomb. Like it's not something you take lightly or give lightly. You give a power bomb to a guy you want to put out of your misery.
Yeah.
I have to give a shout out to the single leg crab that ended the match. So dope.
Like rolling single leg.
It looked so good, and it was sunk in so deep, and both angles of it just made it look super badass.
So I think he had it wrapped under and then across the front.
Yeah.
And you literally, there's no room. There's no room. That will completely ruin your night. Bending that far back. And then you see Burch, he tapped right away. As soon as he realized, oh, damn, this is really tight, he just got out. Yeah. Because he knew he wanted to walk.
And if there's two guys that if there's two guys that you want treating this match like it's an MMA match, it's these guys.
Yeah.
At least we get to see the next match. One more match.
Like in MMA, there are a few things more satisfying than a dude getting caught in a submission and then immediately tapping, because these dudes, MMA dudes, you know, you've probably rolled with MMA dudes. Yeah. I've rolled with MMA dudes. Like,
and I watch MMA.
they will push their bodies, their bones to the absolute limit. If there's a chance they can get out, they'll let themselves go to sleep because they think like, oh, maybe I can buck them off or something.
Right.
Like they'll let their arms get broken sometimes. But if you see a dude get caught in something and he taps out immediately in an MMA match, you're like, that was legit. That was just...
When you know you're caught,
Game
you're
over.
caught.
Yeah.
When there's no way out and you know it's either tap or snap, literally, there are no other options,
Right.
just get out, man. Just get out. And Danny Burch tonight showed that sometimes you got to take the loss, take the honorable loss. You still get paid at the end of the night, and that's all that really matters.
And he has a match look back on and saying like, hey, this was a good match that I did.
Right. The audience was into it.
Yeah.
Truly, this was not a match that I think the audience particularly cared about. It's two guys who really have a tough time racking up wins, kind of fighting it out. But I think once you get to the point that those two are at, they're they're pretty much at the bottom.
Yeah.
These guys can't win.
Right.
And when you're that low, you want to prove you're better than somebody.
Yeah.
So you're going to beat on the guy who's nearest to you to prove that you're just a little bit better than him.
Sure.
And if you're on the chopping block, you can say you have a win over that man, and that man deserves to get fired. I can keep my job.
Yeah. That's sort of the spot that Tino and Riddick are in, but they don't have anyone to beat on. They tried to beat on
Right.
someone, and it didn't work out for them.
No, it's tough. They look like $1 million, though. Can't argue with that.
We had No Way Jose take on Cesar Bononi.
Bononi.
And, yeah, little match. Mostly there to serve the post-match advancement of the storyline.
Well, it's always good to see Jose. He's a crowd favorite. Just for what we were talking about, he's one of the fun guys.
Yeah.
He engages the audience, like full on engages them, and it's something that they don't get very often. So I enjoy seeing him.
And I enjoy seeing him too. Like, he's fun, he's different, and his style in the ring is different as well. And that, like we all talked about, he's entertaining.
He's one of the guys that I think needs to go up next to the main roster, because it's like, what are you going to do with him in NXT?
I think he should go to SmackDown.
I think you should go. I mean, the only problem is that right now on the main roster, I mean, it's the same problem that NXT has. You don't have enough time to use everybody. Right. Even on the main roster, even on Raw with 3 hours, there's not time to use everybody that they have. And, even more so on SmackDown. Ty Dillinger wasn't even on this week's episode, and he's got a match at the pay-per-view on Sunday. So
That's true.
Yeah. Well, if they cut down Elias Sanson's music, then they should have more time on Monday Night Raw.
no, that's gold. That's what you want. What you could cut down on is Miz Dean Ambrose matches.
Well, we didn't really get one on Monday, but we got a segment.
Sure.
They kicked it off. But,
Anyway, thoughts on No Way Jose, Cesar Bononi, and then the post-match beatdown from Almas.
well, Bonani was able to capture a win over Almas, but it was a flash victory. It was not something that was expected. It was an upset, and so we're trying to see if it may have raised Bononi's man, I don't know.
Stock?
Yeah, thank you. I don't know what's up with my brain right now.
I feel like this match was too short for me. Like, it didn't go long enough, but
What did
we
you
only had 1
want?
hour. More of like just more of different technical style, but then again,
I think it was just sort of reestablishing, like, Cesar Bononi isn't someone that is going to be winning matches.
Well, Bononi's, you say you want it technical. This is not the match for technical.
I know.
Bononi's not a technical wizard. He's just a big man,
Yeah.
and he throws big blows. He's one of the few guys that can actually look No Way Jose in the eye. No Way Jose is really tall. And you don't really grasp that because you never see him and Drew McIntyre in the same ring at the same time. But those are the tallest guys in NXT right now. So it's good to see another guy with a size advantage, and especially taking on No Way Jose. Now, this is a real even styled match, but it's never gonna be something real technical. There's gonna be a lot of hard hits.
Yeah.
But it's it's gonna be quick unless Benoni's able to pull something out that we have not seen from him before, and he's not done that really since us first seeing him. He's not been able to establish his in-ring style, and I think that's sort of what's hurting him overall, is the inability for the audience to see him differently from other people in his place, at his level.
Well said.
Thank you. I found my mouth again.
So we've got our main event, unless you have anything to add about the post-match beatdown on Almas.
Well, yeah, almost beating on Benoni in a really crappy way. And then saying that he wants Jose. Jose's not afraid if anybody steps up to him, then Almas hits the bricks. Like, what do you want? Do you want him? Do you not want him? Can you make up your mind?
Right.
If you're going to jump a match, at least make sure that you have what it takes to back up your words. He's writing the check that he immediately bounces. Like, I didn't mean it.
He's literally getting his homework done by watching The Miz and Maurice being all scared.
What I want to know is what Kona Reeves makes of all this.
Kona, talk to us.
Yeah, call us at 555.
At NXT.
555 NXT.
That number is
Yeah.
424.
Yeah.
No.
No? Okay, cool. Fake out. We've got our main event of the evening, number one contenders match to see who's going to challenge Bobby Roode at NXT TakeOver Brooklyn Trace, which is the official name.
Yes.
Just given that international flair.
Sure.
We got Drew McIntyre taking on Killian Dane. Got to hear Killian Dane's full independent solo music for Sanity. Everyone from Sanity has a remix of the Sanity theme. We've heard it before, but it's just nice to hear it again.
Yeah, I had not. You really have to hear each one individually to really see the differences, and then I think you can really appreciate that not all of them come out to exactly the same music. Sure. I don't think that's ever been done before. Yeah. And it's just a nice little thing. Yeah, definitely. So sweet.
These are two of the biggest guys in NXT in terms of weight, and if not in terms of height, because No Way Jose is definitely bigger than Killian Dane, height-wise at least.
Yes.
You know? And I think that this match sort of proved that Drew McIntyre has... Well, Drew McIntyre is awesome. We all know Drew McIntyre is awesome.
Yes.
But he has one of the most underrated, least spoken about skill sets in wrestling. And this is something that Randy Orton also has. And Goldust is also great at this, which is making yourself look the same size as your opponent, which is a really, really underrated thing. And not every big dude can do that. And there was never a time in this match where McIntyre was towering over Killian Dane, because he's taller than Killian Dane. He's got several inches on Killian Dane, but it never really stood out in the match. There was never a moment where you're like, well, this guy's obviously much bigger than that guy. But it's a very, like, do you have any input on that as far as a skill, learning that?
It's just being willing and able to meet your opponent at their level initially. Like, you see the variations in what McIntyre was able to bring to the table after that, but to start, it was an aggressive lockup from both of these men, going power for power. McIntyre obviously losing some weight to the advantage of Dane, but never losing power. Mm-hmm. But what he did bring was speed. He's able to move very quickly. Dane has got bursts, but for the overall, McIntyre is very quick, and it's due to his frame. He's very tall. He's able to get across the ring much quicker because of his gait and his stride, and that's what was able to get him ultimately an advantage over Dane. But Dane is not tall, obviously, but he's incredibly wide. And it's sort of a deceptive power, because when you're looking at the two, your brain automatically says the taller man has the advantage, but that's not always the case when he's losing some weight pound for pound to his opponent. I myself am only 5'10", but I'm now 230 pounds. I'm very short compared to a lot of other guys who are the same weight as me. So it's just a matter of me using my power to get getting them to understand where I'm at. It's going to them and having them work on their game plan, because I am not going to be pushed around. I've got a height disadvantage, but overall that's an advantage. When you lock up with a guy, you want to force them downward. And that's when the knees buckle, that's when you have the advantage on a lockup. But for me, I'm not going anywhere. Like, if you meet up guy and you have to push him down, then you've got him. But for me, I'm already down here. You can't push any further down than down. So I'm just here, and then I can get under him and lift him and push him back. It's just knowing your opponent. And McIntyre knew that Dane had that advantage over him. So he used his speed to circumvent.
Yes.
Well said.
Yeah.
I liked this moment where Dane just pretty much twisted Drew McIntyre's head and just all the way to the mat. That was something that looked very painful, but also very, very something I enjoyed watching at the same time.
I'm surprised that was legal.
Yeah.
Truly, you don't see a man just do a medicine ball push-up on another man's head.
Right.
And usually that causes some stress fractures, especially from a man that's the size and weight of Killian Dane.
Yeah.
And it obviously it's effective, but it just looks nasty.
It does. And how big Dane is, it's like all his weight is on his head, and I'm just like, this guy's gonna break his neck.
Yeah, no, it's an experience wrestling a guy like Killian Dane because of the it's his power and then his occasional burst of speed and the deciding factor early on in this match was that low cross body. And on a guy like McIntyre, if you get caught in the knees, that's the end of your career.
Yeah.
You don't ever want a knee buckle. But that's precisely what you have to watch out for with Killian Dane, because he's going to come in at a low angle. He's already giving up inches, so now he's going to cut even lower. And as he hits, it's the head whip. If it's not the knees, it's the whiplash you've got to worry about. Because as he hits him, it snaps the neck back. It's really dangerous. Wrestling a guy like that is immensely dangerous. And I think it was lucky for McIntyre to actually get the win tonight. Killian Dane was not giving up.
No.
He had McIntyre had to put him down.
Yes, and just the dominance of Dane and the way that they both collided together in this match, it was not just entertaining, but it was just something that I feel that they had a good connection in the ring.
Yeah. I mean, similar backgrounds.
Right.
I don't know necessarily if they probably have crossed paths before. I can't imagine that they haven't. Being both large guys in a particular place that they come from, that being a rarity, it's not particularly common to find large wrestlers in the UK.
Right.
So these guys must have crossed paths before. So there was something to prove, I think, for both of them.
Yeah.
And McIntyre's speed ended up helping him out here. If it weren't for the fact that he was just a little bit faster than Dane would have gotten that win.
I really
would
thought
have.
Dane was gonna win it.
Yeah, it was sort of a toss-up, and that's what made this match really interesting to watch, is that you weren't 100% sure. Granted, I think the numbers were for McIntyre, but the fact that Dane brought it to him as close as he did, it really made it a compelling thing to watch.
The ending was amazing. Dane kicking out of the Future Shock DDT at 1, and the crowd not believing it, and McIntyre really sold that well with his facial expression and his disbelief there. And then the fact that he had to hit 2 claymores to put Dane away. I thought I thought that this was the most we've seen from Dane so far, and the best Dane has looked so far. I don't know if it's the best McIntyre's looked. It was definitely a great showcase for both of these men, and I don't think that either one lost anything in this match, because you showed Dane was like the toughest possible dude ever in the match in NXT, and you showed that McIntyre was just a little bit better on this night, just a little bit faster, just a little bit more skilled, and now he's going to go on to take over, and he's going to fight Bobby Roode. I'm
excited because we get to see something that I've never seen before. Drew McIntyre versus Bobby Roode. They're different, the styles of their wrestling abilities, and I want to see Bobby Roode lose a title. I hope Drew McIntyre gets it.
I don't think anybody has had just by the tail of the tape, nobody has had the advantage over Bobby Roode that Drew McIntyre has. I mean, it doesn't really matter for Bobby Roode. Bobby Roode is a smart champion.
Sure.
That's what makes him dangerous. That's what helps him keep the belt.
And I think it's all going to, this is going to be a really good story, I feel, because it's going to come down to Roode's intelligence and wherewithal against McIntyre's passion and ability.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a great matchup. Like, that's exciting.
It's really something because McIntyre is just a freight train.
Yeah.
And he's going to go right over Bobby Roode if Bobby Roode can't get out of the way. But I think he can. I really think he can.
So you're thinking maybe Roode will retain in Brooklyn.
Yeah. I mean, as good as McIntyre is, I think Bobby Roode, just overall, you see the last match he had with that kid, you know, the kid from Tampa.
Robbie, I think.
Yeah. That's it. He completely had control of the match. Every time he was about to lose, he'd roll out of the ring, he'd get his leg to the rope. He understands how to be a champion wrestler. He understands the champion's advantage.
And he's very smart when
Absolutely.
it comes to that stuff.
That's what matters.
Yeah.
When you're a champion, all that really matters is being able to hold on to the belt.
Yeah.
And knowing all of the different ways that you can manage to get out of a pin, to get out of a submission, and turn it in your favor. It's a chess game for those with the belt. If you're the one who's chasing the man with the belt, you really do just have to work harder. You have to do your homework and cut him off at every single pass.
Right.
Because there are a lot of ways out of the ring, but you have to be there. You have to be 1 to 2 steps ahead of him at all times to make sure that you close him off enough so that you can get him to either submit or be pinned. And that's what it takes, is being so much smarter than a champion. Because it's called a champion's advantage for a reason. And the champions have the clear advantage. If they lose by a count out, they keep it. If they're able to get disqualified, they still keep it.
Yeah.
Like they have so many more ways to retain the championship and maybe take an L, but that's okay.
I hope that doesn't, I hope that's not the case at Brooklyn, where he just takes advantage and gets a count out or disqualified and retains. I want to be able to see a good match against these two guys, but I have this weird feeling in the back of my head that they're going to have an amazing match. Drew's going to be very advantage of this match, and all of a sudden, Bobby Roode's going to turn it over and pin him, and 1, 2, 3, that's it.
It's going to be hard.
Yeah.
Because Drew is so much stronger. Drew is so much faster. I mean, even if Bobby were able to hook up the DDT, it would not take much for McIntyre to simply push him right out of it. Like, he's got the advantage, I'd say, measure for measure, strength and power and speed. He's got it. But Bobby's smarter, and if Bobby can work him on the outside, where anything, more or less anything's legal, and then bring him inside and then hit him with the DDT. That's better. Like he did in his last championship bout. He hit his DDT on the outside, then put him inside, then hit him again, then got the win. That's how he should go about this. But he's just got to be smart, and I think he's smart enough.
Yeah, he definitely is smart enough. I think that maybe we'll get a. I think it might all come down to whether this match goes on last or not.
Good point. Good point. Although I can't think of what else would.
I don't think that it'll be a screw job finish.
Why would it? I wouldn't.
Not at Brooklyn.
Yeah, I don't think Bobby Roode doesn't have that
If
credibility yet.
If it's a Bobby Roode victory, it's going to be the way that Bobby Roode won against Shinsuke, where it was like he didn't cheat in any way, he just took advantage of something.
Yeah. And that's how he's always done it.
Yeah.
But he might have to cheat to get it over on Drew McIntyre. He
This
may just have to completely
This might
cheat.
be where he goes all the way Rudo.
Yeah.
In the coming weeks, we're going to get more matches for TakeOver Brooklyn. Is there anything that you guys want to see at TakeOver Brooklyn?
I want another ladder match with the tag team titles.
Yeah, we have no clue what's happening with the tag team
Yeah.
titles. Like, we do not have it. Heavy Machinery. They lost.
Yeah.
They lost in a clean fashion, and there's nobody else to challenge, other than the Street Profits. But they've not wrestled. On
A rapid
ICTV.
rise to the top.
Seriously, I guess just sort of a rise by a vacancy.
Zeno Hour asks, Adam Cole, Red Dragon, meaning Kyle O'Reilly and
Right.
Bobby Fish, Leo Rush are expected to sign with NXT.
Oh,
He
Leo
says,
Rush.
Leo did sign.
yeah, he says, what about Donovan Dijak? Is Dijak in the mix? He is in the mix. I know that Kyle O'Reilly has signed,
Yeah.
Bobby Fish has signed, Leo Rush has signed, Adam Cole's gonna sign. They wanted Dalton Castle. He opted to re-sign with ROH.
They probably made him a pretty good deal.
They want Donovan Dijak, and if they want him, they're going to sign him because he's had ample opportunities. He's been free of his ROH contract for a while now. He's had ample opportunities to sign elsewhere. So it's all a question of when they're going to sign him and if they want to sign him. Because if they want to sign him, he's going to sign with WWE. If they
Conceivably, though,
Conceivably.
he's done a pretty good job on the independent circuit,
Absolutely.
racking up bookings, and I'm sure
Yeah.
getting the PO. So it's a matter of schedule more than anything. With most of the indie guys,
Yeah.
they have to look at how much money am I making, how much money am I going to make, and how's the schedule balance out.
I'm really excited for Leo Rush. I've seen him before, met him.
Leo Rush
nice
is
kid.
great.
He's entertaining.
Leo Rush is the ultimate success story.
Yeah.
Like going from being a wrestling student at the very end of 2015, I believe, or 2014,
Yeah,
to
something like
getting signed to WWE like within his first 3 years.
that's not necessarily a measure of success.
Sure, but the people who tend to go from wrestling student to WWE in that amount of time are usually people that WWE signs to wrestling school.
True.
Leo Rush made a name for himself on the indies in his first year, won a bunch of championships in his second year, and is now going to the only place he's ever wanted to wrestle. So I mean, like, he's obviously got a long way to go. He's obviously got the deck stacked against him in terms of his size.
Yeah.
Big time.
Yeah.
Because you've got, what, 6 inches on him?
Yeah, and about 100 pounds.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, if anything, I would like to see him on 205.
Yeah.
That's, to me, that's the only
Yeah.
place he could conceivably go.
The only other option, in my mind, is if they want to make him this generation's Rey Mysterio. But they've had the opportunity to do that with Kalisto. They've had the opportunity to do that with other people.
Yeah.
Grand Metalik, Rich Swann. But just for whatever reason, they haven't. He's either going to be a cruiser, or they have to finally pull the trigger on, like, this guy is special. He's little, but look at what he can do. And I don't know if he has that ability.
I just watched and filmed him wrestle Keith Lee
Oh, wow.
in an amazing match. So he could go in 205, and I'm sure he would fit easily there.
Sure.
But I wouldn't limit him to just that, because
Right,
he
right.
could work anyone. Him and Keith Lee tore the house down at PWG.
And the thing about Leo Rush that I admire is that, if you just watched him in ROH, he's just another guy who does flips. If you watched him in CZW or even PCW, this dude's got a ton of personality.
Oh, heck yeah.
And he does some really interesting stuff that, like, no one else is doing character-wise. And that's super rare for someone that young, that fresh to the business, to not only have good technical ability and do all the flashy moves, but also invest time into his character and have charisma and personality.
Yeah, it's usually one or the other.
Yeah,
Typically,
Exactly.
it's usually
Look how
not
long.
both.
Look how long it took Ricochet to
Yeah.
get any personality at all. And that's not a knock on Ricochet. I love him to death.
Well, what does he need personality for?
Exactly.
Well, he doesn't. He didn't.
But once he had personality, once he had that swagger and that attitude, holy crap,
Yeah.
he became Ricochet. He was always a dude where you're like, watch this guy's match, watch this guy's moves. But once he developed his personality and his charisma, he became the guy.
Right, and if you're on television, if you're trying to appeal to a mass audience, you have to be interesting to watch. You can't just be moves.
Yeah.
Because
Especially in
everybody does
WWE.
moves.
Especially in
100%.
WWE, because they're going to take all your moves.
Absolutely.
Hey, you know this list of moves that you do? Throw that up, crumple it up, and throw it away.
That's part of every tryout experience. So any moves you'd like to show us that you can do. And that is literally just their time to steal from you hand over fist.
Right.
It's not like it's a big secret.
Yeah.
They want to make their own guys who aren't you, who they think are going to be better than you.
Zeno Hour brought up that Leo Rush was in a tag team with Patrick Clark for a while when Patrick Clark was on the Indies between Tough Enough and
In Maryland?
MCW, yeah.
Oh, no kidding.
And I don't remember their team name, but that would be, like, even if Patrick Clark was still Velveteen Dream when Leo Rush, like, because Leo Rush's character in CZW took a lot of aspects from, like, Prince, but made them, like, dark and creepy. And that dynamic of Leo Rush and Velveteen Dream would be super cool, and that would be a great way to establish him as more than just a cruiserweight if he's in a tag team.
Right.
That
If
would
he's
be-
like, look at this guy with this huge dude, like,
Or even as I'd call it a valet, but with a serious edge. Like he's not just somebody to carry a coat or something
Sure.
like that, but he's the Kato to his Green Hornet
that's
on
a,
occasion.
yeah, that's a great comparison there. Man, they haven't really done that yet. Of like, because usually when there's like a valet, it's like Diesel, where it's like a huge bodyguard, or like
Right.
Mr. Hughes. Like, that would be such a cool dynamic if there was this cocky guy who had a valet that did all of his ass kicking for him. Because even China was bigger than Triple H.
Yeah.
Like, it's
she
always
was.
that. It's always the enforcer is always the formidable one. So that would be an amazing dynamic to be like, oh, you know this little guy? He's actually the one who does all the ass kicking.
Right.
And Mr. Fuji.
Well,
Just the salt in the eyes.
Just do that.
Leo Rush's finisher in WWE is salt in the eyes.
Yeah, that sounds like something they would do. That sounds like a Michael Hayes move. That's a Freebird move right there.
But there's a lot of guys who are going to be coming in. I have no doubt that during Brooklyn, we're going to get cut to the crowd at least twice. I think one of the times we cut to the crowd, it's for sure going to be Adam Cole.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know, but like,
Listen.
I mean, it's been talked about for so long that I feel in a way that I want him to come to NXT, but I don't want to see him sitting in the crowd at Brooklyn. I want to see him popping up somewhere and showing people, hey, I'm here.
The guys you see in the crowd are the guys who win the championship.
I know.
So chew on that fat for a second. Do you want him to win the title, or do you just want him to mill around like Cassius Ohno?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Good point.
Yeah.
Good point. So if we're going to cut to the crowd twice and see two people, one of them is Adam Cole. Who's the other one going to be?
Oh, I hate guessing games.
Ah,
I
sorry.
don't
Okay.
know.
All right. We won't
What do
play
you
it then.
think? Who's the other one? You got your Cole.
I'm gonna root for Leo Rush because I like the kid.
Leo Rush is. I don't know if he's a turn to the audience kind of guy.
You never know.
It's a who's that kid kind of situation.
I honestly feel like and again a testament to like how much he's accomplished in a short amount of time. I feel like Leo Rush is on par name brand cachet wise with ACH at this point. Like, I think that they're about the same level of well known.
Probably ACH's stock has gone down a little bit recently. So,
But
yeah.
but I'm saying, like, ACH, how long has he been kicking around blowing people's minds?
Yeah.
And for Leo Rush to get to that level in this amount of time.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I'm always looking at the long game.
Yep.
Long game's always a
as well you
challenge.
should be.
Yeah.
All right. Well, anyone have anything else to add before we wrap this bad boy up?
A lot of matches, not a whole lot of talking. This is the NXT that I like. It's the NXT that I love. It's the studio show. This is the wrestling show.
Yeah, and I'm so excited that I was able to sit down with you guys.
Well, you did okay.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us.
Rook.
Join us next week when I will not be here, but Mark B. Donica will be back
Have
here
a
in this chair.
rotating door of people. in
Why
the
don't you? I
house.
know. I'm so sorry.
No,
Why don't
it's
you
fine,
tell the
yeah.
people where they can find you
Well, you can find me at True Hobo on the Twitter. Shirts are at ProWrestlingTees.com, but more
You can
importantly,
get this shirt.
NXTeam.Spreadshirt.com is where you can get. I broke a Wahoo's leg, and I didn't. I'll do it again. Damn it!
Crazy. Don't test you.
Yeah, once again, wrestling, pro wrestling, Brian Kendrick wrestling, pro wrestling on Friday, and I'll be wrestling Tristan Archer.
Sad I have to miss
Should
that.
be pretty fun. Looking forward to it.
And my name is Anissa Barr. You can find me at Anissa Barr with 3 R's. Also, we had Alex Riley here today on X-Pac 12360, so please watch that. Such a great interview. He talks about Glow, and we also talk about what happened with Shane McMahon today. So tune in and please watch. Give us some 5 stars on that iTunes, because we love it.
And Rocky Romero was also on that show. It's a fun show. I was on it as well, but you don't care about that. You can find me everywhere on social media at Sundown Motel. I'll be eating jerky over there. And you can check out all of my writing at uprocks.com, with spandex.com, uprocks.com/sports, uprocks.com/pro wrestling. Just put in uprocks.com, you'll find the stuff you want. Yeah, that's it. And we'll see you next time, everybody.
Bye-bye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.